And now it's time for the word. If you would get your Bible and or smartphone and momentarily turn to the book of Job. Folk who don't go to church, they say job. But church-going folk understand it's pronounced Job. Job chapter 1, verses 8 through 12. I'll be reading in just a moment. Today, our newscasters are inundating us with all kind of bad news. Problems in the White House, problems in the Senate. They're always talking about climate change. There's flooding, there's homelessness, there's crimes, there's corruption, and the list goes on and on. The experts are telling us that in 2023 to expect some major changes in economics, in technology, in culture, and also in the environment. The buy now, pay later bubble is about to burst. You know, for the past decade or so, we've been pay now, pay later, but that bubble, experts say, it's about to burst. As we look into this new year, there's the fear of recession, and if you have not already experienced people hacking into your accounts, I pray that it doesn't happen to you, but it has happened to so many, countless hundreds and thousands of people of their accounts being hacked. Almost within every 15 to 20 minutes on your phone, you get a scam notice, all right? You have to change your passwords and your email addresses and all of those kind of things. With the coming of the new year, there's so many uncertain things that are happening, things that you thought you would never see, we are beginning to see. A lady by the name of Jenny Wilson wrote this song many years ago. Time is filled with swift transitions, not earth can stand. Build your hopes on things eternal and hold to God's unchanging hand. Our text today comes from the book of Job, chapter 1, verses 8 through 12. I believe it's going to be on the screen. Would you follow along with me as I read? And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil. Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth Job fear God for naught? Hast thou not made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath? On every side thou hast blessed the works of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power, only upon him himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. The book of Job reminds us of the constant conflict that's going on behind the scenes. There is a constant conflict, there is a constant war that goes on behind the scenes. Often we wonder, why does God allow some bad things to happen? And to be honest, I don't think there would probably be a person who is here who at one time or another have not asked God, why? Why did you allow this? Why did you allow that? Why the other? Why me? We often ask ourselves, why does God allow some things to happen? And of course, we humans never can see and understand what's behind the scene because we can never see the full and complete picture. The book of Job teaches us that God is in control under all circumstances and situations. And all circumstances, even those circumstances that we don't understand, are under the control of God. Even in the darkness of the night, God is at work. When it seems that God is unconcerned, when it seems that God is silent, God is behind the scene, God is working. No matter how bad the situation may seem to be, no matter who caused the situation, sometimes we ask ourselves, did I do something to cause this situation? Or did somebody else do something to cause my situation? Did the drunken driver that ran the red light and caused me bodily harm and total out my car? What was behind all of that? But no matter what your situation may be, no matter who or what caused it, God is still at work. We need to understand that we live in a fallen world, and bad things happen to good people. Come on, help me preach. Look at somebody and say, bad things sometimes happen to good people. Turn and say that to the other person on the other side. Say, sometimes bad things happen to good people. I want you to think about that for a moment. Often we try to judge people by the situations that they find themselves in. Well, they brought this on themselves. And had they not done this or done that, or had they not been here, there, or the other, it would not have happened. But often, God allows bad things to happen to good people. Illness happens. Cancer still kills. Bad things happen. According to Ephesians chapter number 6, verse 12, we're in the midst of a spiritual battle, a spiritual war. Our fight is not against flesh and blood, but it's against the rulers of the darkness of this world. It's against powers of darkness. It's against the evil in high places, and therefore we must put on the whole armor of God, and so that we can withstand the wiles of the devil. The armament protects you from what's coming on the outside against you, but the armor also protects you. It protects you from you. Well, you didn't get that. One of the worst things God could ever do is turn you over to you. You are your worst enemies. Well, I'm going to say that again. If you read Romans chapter 1, verse 1, all of those people who forgot God, God turned them over to themselves, and they became reprobate in their minds, in their thinking, in their thoughts, and they destroyed themselves. And so the armament of God not only protects you from what's coming against you on the outside, it protects you from you. Let's look at some things here for a moment. Let's look at the struggle that we're in. Let's look at the battle. Let's look at the fight that we're in. We're fighting against evil forces. We're fighting against the darkness of this world. We're fighting against the forces of evil. And we are in a world where bad is fighting good and wrong is fighting right. We're in a world that darkness is fighting against light and that Satan fights against God. But behind it all, God is still at work. In the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 8, there are 6 words that we need to pay close attention to. 6 words. In Job 1 and 8, God asked Satan 6 words. Have you considered my servant Job? Just 6 words. Have you considered my servant Job? Who would have thought that these 6 words would bring devastation to Job's entire life? And in Job chapter number 1, the angels presented themselves before the Lord, and the Bible said, and Satan came also. He was uninvited, but he showed up. And you know, there's something about the devil, you don't have to invite him, he'll just show up. You'll be minding your own business at work, and the devil will just show up. You'll be thinking you're having a wonderful time at home, but the devil will just show up. You'll go to the mall thinking that you're going to feel good by buying something new, and the devil will just show up. But even sometimes when you come to church, the devil just shows up. And so when these angels, these sons of God, went to present themselves before the Lord, the devil showed up. Well, so far it's not that bad. He's just showed up. But the Lord said, Satan, where are you coming from? Let me paraphrase it. Satan said, I'm roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth, seeking whom I may devour. I told you he just shows up. God said, where are you coming from, Satan? I'm going from to and fro. I'm just roaming. Ooh, Lord have mercy. And that's why he shows up. He's just roaming. He has no place in particular to go. He just roams. Wherever people are gathered, he'll just show up. I'm going up and down in the earth, seeking whom I may devour. And the Lord asked him the question, have you considered my servant Job? And Satan said, in essence, yeah, Lord, I've checked him out. I've checked him out. Yeah, I got my eyes on him. I've checked him out. But God, do you think that you want to brag on Job? Do you think that Job is serving you for naught? Who wouldn't serve you? Look at him, God. Number one, you got a hedge built around him and his household. Can I preach? The devil knows. Oh, the devil knows what most of us don't know. The devil said, God, I know, I've checked him out, but I know you built a hedge around him and his house. If you could just understand what it means to be a child of God, that God has built a hedge around you and your household. He's built a wall of protection around you and your household. Would you just put your hands together and say, thank you, Lord? And the devil can only come up to the hedge. He can't jump over it. He can't dig under it. He can't go around it because God built the hedge. And it's around you and your household. I don't care what them folk that don't like you are trying to do. You can get a strand of my hair. You can go to the Seven Sisters of New Orleans and get all that magic, all that gunk, but God built a hedge around me. Let me slow down here. But not only has God built a hedge around Job, Job said, secondly, he has blessed the works of your hands. We're blessed in the house. We're blessed in the field. We're blessed when we go out. We're blessed when we come in. You ought to understand how blessed you are. And when we understand how blessed we are, we will stop complaining so much as to what we don't have. Look at what you do have. And what you do have, money can't buy. Woo! So Satan says, well, I hear you bragging on Job, but God, I want to tell you something. Every man has his price. Did you know that the devil is a liar? And he's the father of lies? Satan said, in essence, God, in addition to you building the hedge around him and his family and you blessing his household, but every man, God, has his price. Look at somebody and say, I'm not for sale. Come on, look at somebody else and say, I'm not for sale. Number one, we need to tell the devil, devil, I'm not for sale. I don't care what you offer, I'm not for sale. I don't care how much you offer. I don't care what you offer, I'm not for sale. Somebody shout back, I'm not for sale. Satan said, God, every man has his price. And Job will walk away from you so fast that it will make your head spin, and Job will curse you to your face. Now, all of us have been cursed behind our backs. But now it takes a brave somebody to stand up and curse you to your... It takes the blood of Jesus. Well, I'm talking to the wrong folk. If you move the hedge, I'll make him curse you to your face. And God knew better. God believed in Job. I'm here to tell you something today. God believes in you. Would you look at somebody and say, God believes in you? Come on, tell the other person, God believes in you. God believes in you. Whatever you're facing, God believes in you. Whatever you're struggling with, God believes in you. Whatever temptation you are facing, God is believing in you. God is counting on you. He's counting on you to do the right thing because he has given you the power to resist the devil. If we submit ourselves to the Lord and resist the devil, James said he'll flee from us. Our problem is we don't submit to God, neither do we resist the devil. Now, you sisters ought to know something about resistance. Well, I'm talking to the wrong folk. Sisters ought to know something about resistance. When you tell him, no, I'm not interested in you, go on about your business, and he just keep on persisting, sisters know something about resistance. Yeah. They didn't go to judo training for nothing. God's counting on us. We are living epistles, read and known of all men. People who don't read their Bibles read the epistle according to what your name is. The epistle of Arthur, the epistle of Sam, the epistle of Joe, the epistle of Ronnie, the epistle of Mary, the epistle of Sue. We are living epistles read and known of all men. They won't read the Bible, but they'll certainly read you. And they'll see how you're going to react to certain situations. But I'm here to remind you that God depends on you. And God has given us the power to withstand the devil. Help me say power. Yeah, I know we like the power to dance and shout and speak in tongues, but God gives us power to overcome temptations and problems. He gives us the power to live an overcoming life. And so let me get on with my sermon here. In a single day, not 3 weeks or 4 months, but in a single day, Job got that phone call that he dreaded to get. I'm paraphrasing, of course. Some of you can relate to that phone call that you get in the wee hours of the night, knowing it's bad news for folk to call you that time of morning. And anytime your phone rings, those hours of the day or the night, you know it's bad news. And Job got a phone call one night saying, all your children have been killed. A windstorm hit the house, and all 10 of your children died as a result. They're gone now forever. It was Job's worst nightmare. And what was his response? Verse 20 said, Job got up and tore his robe, got a razor and shaved his head, and fell on the ground. But what did he do? He worshiped. Let God speak to us today. Such bad news that made him fall on the ground, tear his clothes, shave his head. But then instead of losing his mind, instead of going to pieces, he worshiped. Now that's easier said than done. But the book of Job was written as an encouragement to us that whatever you face, however hard it may be, Job gave us the example that amid it all, he worshiped. What did he say? Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And what Job was saying, had it not been for God, I would have never received the children. I would have never received the joy that they brought. I would never have received the happiness that they gave me. So he said, shall I only receive good from the Lord? He said, I came to this world naked. You see, some of us would have had a lot of problem there because we don't own things. Sometimes things own us. And Job is detached from the things he had because he controlled them and they did not control him. He understood that whatever I have received it as a good gift from God. And if God loaned it to me, and you know, that's what we need to look at. That's what we need. When we lose a loved one, they're on loan. Well, I'm preaching now. And so that's why we need to treat each other the best we can, because they're on loan. They don't belong to you. I know you got the ring and she's your wife and he's your husband, but they're just on loan. Because when we get to heaven, ain't gonna be no husband and wife, brother-in-law and sister-in-law. That's just for here. We're on loan. Our children are just on loan to us. And so thank God for the time that he has loaned them to us. Woo! Job said, I came from my mother's womb naked. I didn't have anything. And I'm going to leave the same way the Lord have given and the Lord have taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And so in the midst of an unbelievable loss, he chose to worship. In your hurt, can you worship? In your illness, can you worship? Yes, the doctor has given you a bad report, but can you worship? He may even have given you a certain amount of months to live or a certain amount of years to live, but can you still worship? With ill health, can you worship? When your heart is broken, when you're hurting, going through the bitter divorce, are you going to get bitter or are you going to get better? Can you worship? Job said that when I looked for light, I found darkness. And after all of this, after all of that, Job worship. Satan said, God, I was wrong about the first part, but a man's health means everything to him. And as long as he has his health, he can rebuild. As long as he has his health, he can start over again. But if you allow me to touch his body and to disturb his health, he'll curse you to your face. Let's look at what happened to Job, and I'm wrapping it up. The Lord said, okay, touch his body, but you can't touch his soul. And the devil brought afflictions to Job's body, painful boils, constant pain, blackening gangrene. His body was so disfigured that when his friends came to see him, they could not recognize him because his body had been so disfigured with the disease. And then I'm closing with Mrs. Job. She had been with him all of his, probably most of his adult life. She had helped build the fortune, and it helped build the wealth. She had been the mother of those 10 precious children. She had given comfort to Job. She had given encouragement to Job. She had been his primary caretaker. She had saw him go from riches to rags. Can you imagine the hurt that she must have had seeing a husband who was once gainfully employed, a husband who could meet all of her needs, and now he is anguished and he is in pain, and yet he holds to his integrity. She couldn't take it anymore. She said, Job, why don't you just give up on God? Give up on God. It's not worth the suffering. It's not worth the pain. It's not worth the agony. It's too much. Too much. Get out of your misery. Get out of your misery. So just go on and curse God and die. Oh my. Job said to her, but woman, you speak as a foolish woman. You're not speaking like my wife. You're not speaking like the woman that's been by my side. You're not speaking like the woman that's been my primary caretaker. You're now speaking like a foolish woman. You know the end of the story. Thank God for the end of the story. God won. Satan lost. Would you put your hands together and say, God won? Satan lost. Help me say it again. God won. Satan lost. Job was healed. Job was cured. Job was delivered. Job lived 140 more years to see 4 generations. May I encourage you, hang on in there. Keep the faith. Hold on. God will come through. Somebody help me say, God will come through. Help me say, God will come through. He's a winner at the finishing line. Keep the faith, keep the faith, keep the faith. Job said, Lord, I just want to ask you one question. If a man die, shall he live again? And the Lord never answered that question. But he answered it in the New Testament. When Lazarus had been buried and in the tomb for 4 days, and Jesus came to town, and Mary and Martha said, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Jesus said, you see your brother again. And they said, we know we will see him in the end, in the resurrection. But Jesus says, step back and look at me. I am the resurrection and the life. Let me answer Job. Job, though a man die, he shall live again.